The skies above Earth darkened as enormous ships appeared without warning. They were massive, blocking the sun in major cities around the world. People stopped and stared up at the strange metal objects floating above them. Some ran in fear. Others took pictures with their phones. No one knew what was happening. Major Olivia Grant watched the alien ships from the window of her office at the military base in Colorado. Her brown hair was tied back in a tight bun, and her green eyes narrowed as she studied the unknown threat. At 35, she had spent her entire adult life in the military, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. "Major, you need to see this," said Lieutenant Kelly Martinez, rushing into the room. She turned on the large screen on the wall. "They're broadcasting on all channels." The screen showed a strange creature. It looked almost human, but was much bigger, with gray-blue skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. It stood at least 8 feet tall with muscles that seemed too big for its frame. "People of Earth," the creature spoke in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Drez of the Zoraxian Empire. Your planet is now under our control. Surrender completely within 48 hours, or we will begin destroying your cities one by one." Olivia's phone rang immediately. It was Admiral Frank Miller, her direct superior. "Grant, get to the Pentagon now. Emergency meeting in 2 hours," he said, his voice tense. 6 hours later, Olivia sat in a large underground room with the highest-ranking military officials from around the world. President Diane Powell entered, looking tired but determined. At 61, the president had handled many crises, but her face showed this was different. "The aliens have already shown their power," President Powell said. "They destroyed an aircraft carrier group that approached one of their ships. 3,000 sailors lost in seconds." Admiral Miller stood up. He was a tall man with gray hair and a permanent frown. "Madam President, we need to launch everything we have now." "And start a war we can't win?" argued General Richard Allen. "Their technology is clearly centuries ahead of ours." The arguments continued until Dr. Alice Wright entered the room. She was a short woman with blonde hair and glasses, carrying a tablet computer. "If I may," she said quietly, but something in her voice made everyone stop talking. "I've analyzed the video broadcasts of the Zoraxians. They evolved on a high-gravity world. Notice their thick bones and excessive muscle mass. They're strong, but I believe they're also slow and use a lot of energy to move." President Powell looked interested. "And how does this help us, Doctor?" Dr. Wright smiled slightly. "It's time to tell you about Project Nightingale." The next day, Olivia stood before 100 women in a secret underground training facility. Each woman was a soldier chosen for specific qualities: smaller size, agility, pain tolerance, and endurance. For 3 years they had trained in secret, preparing for threats that required more than brute strength. "Ladies," Olivia said, "the threat we prepared for is here. The Zoraxians believe they're superior because they're bigger and stronger, but in Earth's gravity, we have the advantage of speed and stamina." Lieutenant Martinez brought up images of Zoraxian anatomy that Dr. Wright had somehow obtained. Their joints are reinforced for their high-gravity world. That makes them less flexible. Their muscles are dense, which means they tire quickly in our gravity. Private Samantha Lee raised her hand. At 22, she was the youngest member of the unit but had scored highest in tactical simulations. "So we're going to fight them? How?" "They just destroyed our most powerful naval vessels." "Not head-on," Olivia explained. "We fight smart. We use their size against them. We strike fast and disappear." Colonel John Baker, one of the few men with knowledge of the Nightingale Project, stood at the back of the room. "The first Zoraxian ground forces have landed in Chicago. They're establishing some kind of base. Your unit will deploy tonight." That night, under cover of darkness, 5 helicopters flew low over the farmlands outside Chicago. The women of the Nightingale unit wore lightweight armor designed to maximize mobility rather than protection. Each carried specialized weapons, not the heaviest guns but the most accurate and efficient ones. Olivia led the first team of 20 women toward the alien outpost. The Zoraxians had set up a perimeter around a large device they were building. 8-foot-tall alien soldiers patrolled with weapons that glowed blue in the darkness. "Remember," Olivia whispered into her radio, They're not used to our gravity. They get tired easily. Make them move, make them chase. The women spread out in teams of 4. Olivia nodded to her team, and they moved silently toward the perimeter. A Zoraxian guard turned just as they approached. It was even more massive up close, its armor making it look like a walking tank. The alien spotted them and raised its weapon, but Lieutenant Martinez was faster. She fired a dart into the creature's neck. The Zoraxian stumbled, tried to call out, but fell to the ground. Tranquilizer worked, Martinez whispered. Dr. Wright got the dose right. They moved past the fallen guard. Around the perimeter, other teams were doing the same. Not a single shot fired. Not a single alarm raised. At the center of the outpost, they found what looked like a communication tower. Captain Lisa Warren, an electronics expert, quickly placed devices on the main control panel. "Virus uploading," she whispered. "This will feed them false information and let us listen in." Suddenly, an alarm blared. A door opened and 3 Zoraxians rushed out. They were huge, each carrying weapons bigger than the women themselves. "Split." "Up," Olivia ordered. The women ran in different directions. The aliens tried to follow but moved awkwardly in Earth's lower gravity. When they ran, their movements were stiff and clumsy. Private Lee didn't run. Instead, she ducked between the aliens' legs, slashing at the back of their knees with her combat knife. The aliens roared in pain, trying to turn to catch her, but she was too quick. Olivia and Martinez circled back, firing more tranquilizer darts. 2 aliens fell. The third managed to fire its weapon, a blast of blue energy that tore through a nearby wall. Sergeant Beth Collins, the team's demolition expert, threw a small device at the alien's feet. It exploded in a flash of light and sound. The alien fell, stunned by the concussion grenade. "All teams, complete your objectives and evacuate," Olivia ordered through her radio. 20 minutes later, the helicopters picked up all 100 women, not a single casualty. On their screens, they watched as the Zoraxian communication tower sent out signals, but not the ones the aliens intended. Back at the Pentagon, Admiral Miller watched the operation's success with amazement. "I didn't believe it would work," he admitted to President Powell. The president nodded. "This is just the beginning. The Zoraxians think they know what humans are capable of. They're about to learn how wrong they are." In orbit above Earth, Zoraxian Commander Vrul received reports of the attack. "Humans?" he asked in disgust. "What kind of warriors?" His subordinate looked confused. "We're not sure. They were small, fast, unlike the humans we studied." Vrul dismissed the concern. "A lucky raid. They cannot stand against the might of the Zoraxian Empire. No one ever has." He didn't know that across the planet more Nightingale units were preparing to deploy. The real fight for Earth was just beginning. News of the successful mission against the Zoraxian outpost spread quickly through the underground military facility. The women of the Nightingale unit became instant legends among the few who knew about them. However, they had little time to celebrate their victory. 2 days after the Chicago mission, Lieutenant Kelly Martinez stood in front of a large screen, explaining what they had learned from the data stolen from the alien communication tower. "The Zoraxians have established 7 major bases around the world," she said, pointing to red dots on the map: Moscow, Beijing, London, Cairo, Rio de Janeiro, Sydney, and New York. Each base has a different purpose, but they all connect to a central command ship in orbit. Major Olivia Grant studied the map carefully. The situation was worse than they had thought. In just a few days, the aliens had set up a global network. Regular military forces that had tried to fight them had been destroyed. Tanks, jets, and missiles were no match for Zoraxian weapons. "What are they building in these bases?" Olivia asked. "We're not sure yet," Martinez replied. "But Dr. Wright has a theory." Dr. Alice Wright entered the room carrying new equipment. She had been working without sleep since the invasion began. "These are atmospheric analyzers," she explained, handing small devices to Olivia. "I believe the Zoraxians are setting up climate control stations. They want to make Earth's atmosphere more like their home planet, heavier with more pressure and different gases." Private Samantha Lee picked up one of the devices. "They're planning to change our air? That would kill us." Exactly, Dr. Wright nodded. They don't want to share the planet. They want to take it from us and make it suitable for their biology. Colonel John Baker joined them, carrying a folder marked Top Secret. He looked worried as he spread photos on the table. We've intercepted communications showing that the Zoraxians are confused by the Chicago attack, he said. They can't believe such small beings could cause damage. According to their reports, human males are the only threat they recognize, and they think they've eliminated most military resistance. Olivia smiled slightly. So they don't know about us yet? No, Baker replied. And that's our advantage. The President has authorized Operation Silent Thunder. We're going to hit all 7 bases simultaneously. Training for the global mission was intense. Over the next week, 7 Nightingale teams prepared in the underground facility. Each woman was given specialized equipment designed by Dr. Wright. Lightweight exoskeletons that enhanced their natural speed and strength without sacrificing agility. Lieutenant Martinez led the training for new weapons designed specifically for fighting the aliens. These dart guns deliver a neurotoxin that affects their nervous system. 1 shot to any exposed skin will slow them down. 2 shots will paralyze them temporarily. Sergeant Beth Collins demonstrated new explosives to her team. These are designed to emit frequencies that disrupt their communications. They won't kill, but they'll confuse the enemy long enough for us to complete our objectives. In the medical wing, Dr. Wright distributed small breathing masks. These will protect you if the Zoraxians release any of their atmospheric gases. The filters will give you about 30 minutes of clean air. As they prepared, Admiral Frank Miller arrived with news from around the world. The aliens have started rounding up humans in major cities. They're using them as labor to build their bases. We're running out of time. On the night before the mission, Olivia couldn't sleep. She walked through the quiet facility and found Private Lee sitting alone in the cafeteria staring at a photo. Nervous about tomorrow? Olivia asked, sitting across from her. Lee nodded. My parents are in New York. That's where my team is going. I'm scared I'll be too emotional if I see them being forced to work for the aliens. Olivia understood. Every woman in the unit had loved ones somewhere in the world, many in occupied cities. Use that emotion, she advised. Remember why we're fighting. The next night, under the cover of darkness, 7 teams deployed to 7 cities around the world. Olivia led the team to London, where the Zoraxians had established their largest weapons facility. The London team moved through abandoned streets. The once busy city was now quiet, with only alien patrols moving between tall buildings. Look there, whispered Captain Lisa Warren, pointing to a group of humans being marched toward a large structure. They looked tired and dirty, forced to carry heavy equipment for their alien captors. Stay focused, Olivia reminded her team. We'll help them by completing the mission. They reached the perimeter of the alien base. It was heavily guarded, with more Zoraxians than they had seen in Chicago. Olivia signaled for the team to split into smaller groups. Sergeant Collins led her group to place disruptor explosives around the base. Lieutenant Martinez took another team to infiltrate the communication center. Olivia and Captain Warren headed for what looked like the main power source. As they moved through the base, they saw the true scale of the Zoraxian operation. Huge machines pumped strange gases into containers. Alien scientists monitored equipment that seemed to be analyzing Earth's atmosphere. We need to destroy those machines, Warren whispered. They placed explosive charges at key points. Just as Olivia set the final charge, a door opened. A Zoraxian scientist stepped out and froze in surprise at seeing the human women. It was smaller than the soldiers, but still towered over Olivia. The alien reached for an alarm panel. Olivia fired her dart gun, but the scientist moved surprisingly fast. The dart hit its arm instead of its neck. The alien let out a loud cry before collapsing. Alarms blared throughout the base. Olivia's radio crackled with urgent reports from other teams. Our cover's blown, Martinez reported, but we've placed all the disruptors. Explosives set on the east side, Collins added. Guards heading your way, Major. Olivia and Warren ran toward the exit point, but found their path blocked by 3 large Zoraxian guards. The aliens fired their energy weapons, forcing the women to take cover behind metal containers. "We need a distraction," Olivia said. Warren nodded and threw a flash grenade. In the moment of confusion, they ran past the guards, who were slow to react in Earth's gravity. Outside the main building, all teams regrouped. They fought their way to the extraction point, using their speed and agility to outmaneuver the larger aliens. Once all women were accounted for, Olivia gave the order. "Detonate." Across the base, explosives went off simultaneously. The alien equipment sparked and failed. The communication tower collapsed. Similar scenes played out at the other 6 locations around the world. In orbit on the Zoraxian command ship, Commander Vrul received alarming reports from all 7 bases. "Impossible," he roared. "How could humans penetrate our defenses?" His science officer, Traz, studied the security footage with growing concern. "Commander, these are not the large male humans we expected. These are smaller, faster. I believe they are female humans." Vrul laughed dismissively. "Females? Impossible. In all species we've conquered, females are weaker, more fragile." Traz wasn't convinced. "Perhaps Earth is different. Perhaps we should study these female warriors more carefully." On Earth, President Powell received reports of the successful strikes. All 7 Nightingale teams had completed their missions with minimal casualties. The alien bases were crippled. "It's a good start," she told Dr. Wright. "But the real war is just beginning." In the underground facility, the women of the Nightingale unit prepared for their next mission. The Zoraxians now knew about them, but still didn't understand what they were dealing with. Earth had a fighting chance, and the fragile women soldiers were leading the way. 1 week after the coordinated attacks on the 7 Zoraxian bases, the alien response was swift and angry. They bombed major military installations around the world. They doubled their patrols in occupied cities. They began scanning for underground facilities. In the hidden base beneath Colorado, Major Olivia Grant watched the satellite feeds with growing concern. The Zoraxians were adapting to the threat faster than expected. "They're looking for us now," she said to Admiral Frank Miller. "They know we exist." Admiral Miller nodded grimly. "Yes, but they still don't understand what they're facing. Their communications show they think we're some kind of special male warriors using experimental technology." Dr. Alice Wright entered the command center with Zoraxian scientist Traz. The alien had been captured during the London mission and now wore restraints. It was the first time most people in the facility had seen a Zoraxian up close. Even for their species, Traz was small, only about 7 feet tall compared to the 8-foot soldiers. "Our guest has been cooperative," Dr. Wright said. "He's a scientist, not a soldier, and he's fascinated by human biology." Traz looked around the room with all 4 eyes, blinking in sequence. "Your females fight," he said in a deep, rumbling voice. "This is unusual. In Zoraxian society, females are kept for breeding only." Several women in the room exchanged disgusted looks. Lieutenant Kelly Martinez stepped forward. "Is that why you didn't expect us? You thought all human fighters would be male?" Traz made a strange gesture with his 6-fingered hand. "The High Command studied your world for years before the invasion. They observed your military, your weapons, your tactics. They saw that most of your visible military forces were male." "They didn't look hard enough," Olivia said. "Human women have been warriors throughout our history." Traz seemed genuinely curious. "Why would you risk your breeding females in combat?" Dr. Wright intervened before anyone could respond angrily. "Let's focus on what Traz has told us about Zoraxian weaknesses." On the main screen, she displayed alien anatomical diagrams. The Zoraxians evolved on a world with 1.8 times Earth's gravity. Their muscles and bones are designed for that environment. In Earth's gravity, they're actually at a disadvantage in terms of speed and agility. "They tire easily here," Traz added. "What you call stamina is poor in my people on your world. We need rest periods and breathing supplements." "Which explains why they're trying to change our atmosphere," Captain Lisa Warren concluded. Dr. Wright pointed to specific spots on the alien anatomy. "They also have poor peripheral vision. Their 4 eyes give them excellent depth perception but a narrower field of view than humans. and their hearing is less sensitive to high frequencies. Private Samantha Lee smiled. So they're bigger and stronger, but we're faster. Can see better to the sides, hear things they can't, and can keep fighting longer without getting tired. Exactly, Dr. Wright said. And now we have something new. She held up small devices that looked like grenades. These emit high-frequency sound waves that disorient Zoraxians without affecting humans. President Diane Powell joined the meeting via secure video link. The Zoraxians have announced they're bringing down their mothership to personally oversee the final phase of occupation. It will land in the Nevada desert in 3 days. This was a surprise. The aliens had kept their largest ships in orbit until now. Why would they risk bringing down their command ship? Sergeant Beth Collins asked. Traz made a rumbling sound that might have been a laugh. Supreme Overlord Krax is angry. In 300 years of conquest, no species has damaged Zoraxian bases after occupation. His honor is questioned. He comes to oversee the final crushing of your resistance personally. Olivia saw an opportunity. If their supreme leader is coming down to Earth, then we have a chance to cut off the head of the snake, Admiral Miller finished. 3 days of intense planning followed. Unlike previous missions, which were quick strikes followed by retreat, this would be a sustained operation requiring all Nightingale units working together. General Richard Allen coordinated with remaining regular military forces around the world. When the mothership lands, they'll expect us to throw everything we have at it. That's what they're prepared for. Instead, most of our visible forces will attack their secondary bases as a distraction. Captain Warren, who had been analyzing alien communication patterns, pointed out a critical weakness. The Zoraxians use a centralized command structure. All orders come from the top. If we can disrupt communications between the mothership and their forces, they won't know how to respond without direct orders. On the morning of the mothership's arrival, Olivia addressed all 150 women of the combined Nightingale units. Many had been recruited after the success of the first missions. They were the best soldiers Earth had to offer. Today we're not just fighting for our cities or countries, Olivia told them. We're fighting for our planet, for our right to exist as we are. The Zoraxians want to remake Earth in their image. They want to change our air, our water, everything that makes this planet ours. The massive alien mothership descended slowly through Earth's atmosphere, creating clouds of vapor around its hull. It was enormous, nearly a mile long and shaped like a jagged arrowhead. It landed in the Nevada desert with a sound that could be heard for hundreds of miles. As predicted, the Zoraxians deployed defensive positions around the ship, expecting a frontal assault from tanks or aircraft. Instead, they faced something very different. The Nightingale units approached from multiple directions using the desert terrain for cover. They wore new lightweight armor designed by Dr. Wright that reflected heat signatures, making them nearly invisible to alien sensors. Lieutenant Martinez led the first team to reach the perimeter. They deployed the new sonic devices, causing nearby Zoraxian guards to clutch their heads in pain. Sonic weapons effective, Martinez reported through her radio. They can't even stand up straight. Team by team, the women breached the perimeter. Unlike human bases, which would have multiple layers of security, the Zoraxians relied on their superior technology and physical strength. They never expected enemies to get past their outer defenses. Inside the ship, the women encountered more resistance. Zoraxian soldiers fired energy weapons down long corridors. The confined space should have given the aliens an advantage, but the women used their smaller size to take cover where the bulky aliens couldn't. Sergeant Collins led a team to the ship's engine room, placing charges on what looks like their power core, she reported, setting timers for 30 minutes. Meanwhile, Olivia, Martinez, and Lee fought their way toward the command center. According to Traz's information, Supreme Overlord Krax would be there, directing the defense. They reached a massive door that wouldn't open to their explosive charges. Private Lee examined the control panel. I need more time to hack this. We don't have time, Olivia said, looking at her timer. Collins's explosives would detonate in 15 minutes. Suddenly the door slid open. Inside stood a Zoraxian even larger than the others. It wore ornate armor and had red markings on its blue-gray skin. Behind it, other aliens operated control stations. "I am Supreme Overlord Krax," the massive alien announced. "I wish to see these female warriors myself before crushing you." Olivia stepped forward, looking tiny compared to the alien leader. "Your mistake was thinking we were weak because we're women." Krax laughed, a booming sound that echoed in the large chamber. "Your entire species is weak. That is why we chose your planet. That is why you will serve us or die." "We're not serving anyone," Olivia said, signaling her team to ready their weapons. "And we're not dying today." As alarms began to sound throughout, the ship Olivia knew Colin's explosives were about to detonate. The real battle for Earth was about to begin. The command center of the Zoraxian mothership fell silent as Supreme Overlord Krax faced the three human women. His massive form towered over them, his four eyes narrowed in contempt. "You have caused us trouble," Krax said. "But it ends now." Olivia, Martinez, and Lee spread out, each taking a different position. They had trained for this situation, fighting larger opponents in enclosed spaces. The other Zoraxians in the room moved to protect their leader. "Your explosives will not damage this ship," Krax continued. "Our hull is impenetrable. We don't need to destroy the ship," Olivia replied calmly. "Just the communications array." As if on cue, the ship shuddered. Emergency lights flashed. A Zoraxian officer rushed to a control panel. "Overlord, the humans have damaged the central communications tower. We've lost contact with all our forces." Krax roared in anger. He lunged at Olivia with surprising speed. She dove and rolled, barely avoiding his massive hands. The alien leader was faster than the regular soldiers, evidence of his superior breeding. But he was still limited by the biology of his species. Martinez fired her dart gun, hitting a Zoraxian officer in the neck. The alien stumbled, then fell. Lee threw one of Dr. Wright's sonic devices. It activated with a high-pitched sound that humans could barely hear. But the effect on the Zoraxians was immediate. They covered the sides of their heads, their movements becoming uncoordinated. Only Krax seemed able to resist the sonic attack. He reached for Olivia again, but the confined space worked against him. His large body couldn't move as freely as her smaller form. "Earth will fall," Krax growled. "We have conquered 100 worlds. Your resistance is meaningless." Olivia didn't waste breath responding. She focused on the mission. While Martinez and Lee kept the other Zoraxians occupied, Olivia made her way to the main control console. She plugged in a small device that Dr. Wright had created. It would transmit the alien ship's command codes back to Earth headquarters. Suddenly, the ship shook violently. Sergeant Collins's explosives had detonated in the engine room. The lights flickered, then dimmed. Emergency power kicked in. "Major," Lee called through her radio. "The ship's defenses are down. General Allen's forces are moving in." Outside the mothership, Earth's remaining military forces launched their attack. Tanks, jets, and soldiers that had been in hiding now converged on the crippled alien vessel. The Zoraxians on the perimeter were confused without orders from their leaders. Some fought fiercely, but their coordination was gone. Inside the command center, Krax realized what was happening. "You were a distraction," he said to Olivia. "Your real attack comes from outside. We were never as weak as you thought," Olivia replied, dodging another grab from the alien leader. Martinez fired her last dart, hitting Krax in the arm. The alien leader pulled it out with a roar. The dose was not enough to take down his massive body. "Martinez, Lee, get to the extraction." "Point," Olivia ordered. "I'll finish here." Her two companions hesitated, then ran from the room. Olivia faced Krax alone. The alien leader was wounded but still dangerous. He moved toward her slowly, his massive form blocking the exit. "Your species will serve us," he growled. "It is the natural order. The strong command, the weak obey." "That's where you're wrong," Olivia said. "True strength isn't just about who has the biggest muscles." She pulled a small device from her belt, a grenade designed by Dr. Wright, based on the captured aliens' information. It wasn't explosive. Instead, it released a chemical compound specifically designed to affect Zoraxian biology. Olivia threw the grenade at Krax's feet. It released a cloud of gas. The alien leader tried to hold his breath, but eventually had to breathe. The effect was immediate. He fell to his knees, gasping. "What is this?" he wheezed. "A compound that reacts with your biology in Earth's atmosphere," Olivia explained. "It won't kill you, but you won't be giving orders for a while." She stepped past the paralyzed alien leader and headed for the extraction point. Behind her, the mothership's systems continued to fail as the coordinated human attack overwhelmed the confused Zoraxian defenses. Outside, human forces pushed forward. The Nightingale units led the way, using their speed and special weapons to take down alien soldiers. Without orders from their leaders, the Zoraxians didn't know how to adapt to this new style of warfare. General Allen directed the battle from a mobile command center. "The mothership's defenses are down. All units focus fire on the communication array." Missiles streaked toward the ship's towering communication spire. It exploded in a shower of metal and energy. Across the world, the effect was immediate. The Zoraxian forces in occupied cities lost connection to their command structure. Their coordinated invasion became a series of isolated groups, confused and vulnerable. Sergeant Collins and her team joined Olivia at the extraction point. "Major, we have 5 minutes before the ship's emergency systems fail completely. It's going to be one big electromagnetic pulse." They fought their way out of the mothership as it began to shake more violently. Human aircraft dropped bombs on the outside, targeting the weak points identified by Dr. Wright's analysis of Traz's information. As they reached safe distance, the mothership's core finally failed. The resulting explosion wasn't the fiery ball most expected. Instead, a wave of energy pulsed outward, disabling every piece of Zoraxian technology within miles. In the underground facility in Colorado, President Powell and Admiral Miller watched the battle unfold on their screens. The feed from Nevada went dark after the electromagnetic pulse, but reports from around the world continued to come in. London reports Zoraxian forces in disarray, an aide announced. Tokyo says they're retreating. Cairo reports they've abandoned their positions entirely. Dr. Wright entered with the alien scientist Traz. "It worked," she said. "The Zoraxians operate on a strict hierarchy. Without Supreme Overlord Krax giving orders, their whole command structure is collapsing." Traz made a strange gesture that might have been respect. "Your females have done what no species has done before. The Zoraxian Empire has never been defeated. They are now," President Powell said firmly. 3 days later, Olivia stood with her team as they watched a remarkable sight. The remaining Zoraxian ships were leaving Earth's atmosphere. Their invasion had failed. Lieutenant Martinez stood beside her. "They're running away." "They're retreating to regroup," Olivia corrected her. "This isn't over." Admiral Miller joined them. "No, it's not over, but we've won the first real victory against them, and now we know how to fight them." In orbit above Earth on the last remaining Zoraxian command ship, a group of alien leaders gathered to discuss their unprecedented defeat. The humans used their females as warriors, one officer reported with disgust. "It is unnatural. It is why we could not predict their tactics." The new commander, who had taken over after Krax's capture, looked down at the blue planet below. "We will return with a larger force. We will not underestimate these humans again." Little did they know, Earth was already preparing. The Nightingale units were expanding. Dr. Wright was developing new weapons based on Zoraxian weaknesses. And Major Olivia Grant was training the next generation of soldiers, men and women working together, combining strength and speed, power and agility. The Zoraxians would return, but Earth would be ready. 6 months passed since the Zoraxians retreated from Earth. The planet was healing, but the signs of the invasion remained everywhere. Destroyed buildings, damaged infrastructure, and areas where the aliens had started changing the atmosphere still needed repair. But humanity was resilient. Major Olivia Grant stood on a platform at the newly rebuilt United Nations headquarters in New York. Beside her were Lieutenant Kelly Martinez, Private Samantha Lee, Sergeant Beth Collins, and Captain Lisa Warren, the core team who had led the fight against the alien mothership. They wore new uniforms designed specially for the expanded Nightingale program. President Diane Powell approached the podium to address representatives from every nation. 6 months ago, we faced extinction. An enemy more technologically advanced than us, physically stronger than us, came to take our world. They almost succeeded. The large screen behind her showed images of the invasion, alien ships hovering over cities, Soraxian soldiers marching through streets, humans being rounded up for labor camps. But they made one critical mistake, the president continued. They judged us by their own standards. They believed that physical strength alone determined superiority. They didn't understand human resourcefulness, our diversity, our ability to find strength in what others see as weakness. The screen changed to show images of the Nightingale units in action. Women soldiers moving quickly around the slower aliens, using their speed and agility to overcome superior strength. Today, we honor those who led the fight for Earth's freedom. The Nightingale units showed us that victory doesn't always go to the strongest or biggest. Sometimes it goes to the smartest, the fastest, the most adaptable. Medals were presented to each woman on the stage. Olivia accepted hers with a sense of pride but also concern. She knew this war wasn't over. After the ceremony, Admiral Frank Miller met with Olivia and her team in a secure room beneath the UN building. Dr. Alice Wright was there, along with the alien scientist, Traz, who had chosen to remain on Earth. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected movement, Admiral Miller said gravely. A large fleet is gathering at the edge of our solar system. The Zoraxians are coming back, and this time they're bringing a much larger force. Dr. Wright displayed images on a screen. Based on Traz's information and our own observations, we believe they'll arrive in approximately 3 months. They're bringing at least 20 motherships, not just one like before. The room fell silent as everyone processed this information. The first invasion had nearly succeeded with just a fraction of this force. They will change tactics, Traz warned. The Zoraxian military adapts slowly but thoroughly. They will not underestimate your females again. Then we need to be ready with something new, Olivia said firmly. The next day, in a large facility built in what was once the Nevada desert, Olivia addressed 500 soldiers, a mix of men and women from countries around the world. They represented the new Earth Defense Force, built on the principles that had made the Nightingale unit successful. The Zoraxians are returning, she told them. This time they know about us. They'll be prepared for our tactics. But we have something they don't have. We have diversity. We have different strengths, different skills, different ways of thinking. The training that followed was unlike anything military forces had done before. Men and women trained together, each bringing different physical capabilities. Some focused on strength, others on speed. Some specialized in technology, others in strategy. They learned to combine these skills in ways the rigidly hierarchical Zoraxians couldn't understand. Meanwhile, Dr. Wright worked with scientists from around the world to develop new weapons and defenses. Using information from Traz, they created systems to counteract Zoraxian technology. Their ships are vulnerable to specific electromagnetic frequencies, Dr. Wright explained to a group of engineers. Their communication systems can be disrupted. Their weapons have limitations we can exploit. Specialist Laura Peterson, a 30-year-old linguist who had joined the Nightingale program late in the first invasion, made a breakthrough in understanding Zoraxian command codes. Their language is structured differently than ours, she explained to Olivia. They don't have concepts for collaboration or equality. Every command assumes hierarchy, someone superior giving orders to someone inferior. How? Does that help us? Olivia asked. Laura smiled. It means we can create fake commands they won't question. Their soldiers won't think to verify orders if they appear to come from superiors. 2 months later, Earth's new defense systems were in place. Satellites positioned throughout the solar system provided early warning. Ships built with recovered alien technology stood ready. The Earth Defense Force, now numbering in the thousands, prepared for battle. The Zoraxian fleet arrived exactly when predicted, 20 massive motherships and hundreds of smaller vessels approached Earth in formation. Their message was simple: surrender or be destroyed. They expect us to be afraid, President Powell said in a worldwide broadcast. They expect us to give up. But that's not what humans do. We fight, we adapt, we overcome. The battle began in space. Earth's new ships engaged the Zoraxian fleet, not with brute force but with quick, targeted strikes. They attacked communication systems, used Laura Peterson's fake command codes to confuse alien ships, and deployed Dr. Wright's electromagnetic weapons to disable alien technology. On the ground, Olivia and her team coordinated the defense. When Zoraxian forces landed, they faced not just the female soldiers they had come to fear, but a unified human military that combined the strengths of all genders, all body types, all ways of fighting. Supreme Commander Zelok, who had replaced Krax after his capture, watched in confusion as his carefully planned invasion fell apart. His forces were receiving contradictory orders. His ships were losing power. His soldiers were being outmaneuvered by humans who fought in ways that made no sense to Zoraxian military doctrine. How are they doing this? He demanded of his officers. How are they defeating our superior technology? Our superior strength? None could answer. The rigid hierarchy of Zoraxian society had never prepared them for an enemy that adapted so quickly, that combined different strengths so effectively. The final battle took place in orbit around Earth. Olivia led a team onto the Zoraxian command ship. They fought their way to the bridge where Supreme Commander Zelok waited. Unlike Krax, Zelok was smart enough to recognize defeat. How? He asked simply as Olivia stood before him. How did a species so physically weak defeat the Zoraxian Empire? Because strength isn't just physical, Olivia replied. Real strength comes from working together, from combining different abilities, from valuing all kinds of contributions. Something your empire never understood. 1 week later, Olivia stood beside President Powell as the Zoraxian surrender was formalized. The terms were clear. Earth was off limits to the Zoraxian Empire. Humanity would be recognized as equals in the galactic community. As the alien representatives departed, Admiral Miller joined Olivia. They'll tell others about us now, he said, about how Earth defeated the undefeatable Zoraxian Empire. Good, Olivia replied. Let the galaxy know that humanity isn't to be underestimated, that on this planet, we value all our people, not just the strongest or the biggest. In the years that followed, Earth took its place among the stars. The tactics and training developed by the Nightingale units became the foundation of Earth's approach to galactic relations. The women who had been seen as fragile by the aliens were now honored as the saviors of humanity. And throughout the galaxy, other species who had suffered under Zoraxian rule began to follow Earth's example, finding strength in diversity rather than uniformity, in cooperation rather than hierarchy. The Zoraxian Empire never attacked Earth again. They had learned their lesson. Never underestimate those you consider weak. Sometimes, they are the strongest of all.